In this video we're going to continue with the last two reactions of the limbic system. The first one was about the shock situation, where we actually consider or assess first of all our whole situation where we actually in, and then consider all the options that we might have. After that we go through the particular order of considering first flight, that means escaping, fleeing, or fighting, and that means oftentimes confrontation and challenging. We're going to dive into those two options of the limbic system. We're going to put much more focus on fleeing, because that's something that the majority of people are actually tending to. Then a few words about fighting, that's very important to know. The benefit of this video is that you're gonna learn a few tells. Those are the absolute basic about understanding those limbic reactions. You can actually apply reading those reactions very quickly in your normal day-to-day life. It's something that you can actually even observe when you're waiting on a train, on a bus or something like that in the public. It's very easy to learn and to see and to assess. So look forward to learn those kind of reactionary tells, so you understand different social situations, many things the same way, and it develops a very good conscience about body language, and it just helps you understanding the people right in front of you. So we're gonna start with fleeing, escaping, or flight reactions. As the majority of people actually don't tend to violence or confrontation, the options of fleeing is actually much nicer and much easier to do than the last one, and that is the fight situation. And actually, even in a social norm, in a social term, it's much more recommended to choose the flight options over the actual fight options. Because let's be honest, to run away from problems, from dangerous situations, are actually the best solution, rather than confronting them and trying to solve them violently or in a dispute or in an argument or something like that. Back in the day it was quite easy to just flee away from our problems, quite literally, because you can just run away and it's no big deal. When we think back about million years ago, it might be that case that this option might help in many situations. Not in all, of course, but in very many. Nowadays, it's not the same, of course. In the modern time, we are not allowed to just run away from a conference meeting when we are being confronted by our opponent or by our business partner with something that we are not really comfortable with. So our situation, our circumstances are different in comparison to a million years ago and nowadays, but our reactions are still the same, but we show them in a different way, and that's what you're going to learn in this video. A few basic but important, very important tells that gonna change your whole view about body language, and you can actually really read people, and people are going to be fascinated about how you actually came to this conclusion. So the most basic fundamental tell about flying or fleeing or escaping out of a situation can be shown in a very tiny and very fine and subtle way, but also in a very big and very easy to read way, so that you can actually miss it. Leaning away from the partner who you're talking to, or the person or the people you're talking to, shows that you are not comfortable about the current topic or about any other thing that you just saw. So it really depends on why, but despite the actual reason why you reacted in that way, it always shows distance, of course, and that can be also only interpreted as discomfort. And discomfort can be caused by quite many things. So your task is only to see if this person is in this type of way, like leaning away from you, showing you in a limbic reactionary way that this person is not really comfortable about what you're talking about, or what this person just witnessed, maybe even behind you or something like that. So there are many reasons when it comes down to interpretation, but to read and to see that this person right now is very uncomfortable, whatever the reason might be. This person is right now uncomfortable about what I'm talking about, what he sees or what he does or something like that. So the best solution for this kind of matter is Just ask. Just ask why this change of behavior, especially when it comes down to change of behavior. Because if the person was very close to you, very easygoing, was really about laughing and was in a very friendly distance with you, but all of a sudden you're talking about car insurance and the person is all of a sudden making distance from you in this kind of way, and it's just one way of showing it, I will tell a few others. And you can read this, of course. You learn it right now, you understand it, making distance shows actually discomfort and indicates that it, especially when it changed it, that there is something that makes the person very uncomfortable, and you can just ask about it. And if the person is willing to answer, you're gonna get your answer and you can move on from there. So it's quite easy, quite minimal. You just need to look out and look for those kind of tells. Other way of showing making distance is, for example, when the feet are only showing not towards you, but showing towards the exit or the car or anything else that can literally bring this person out of this situation. Those indicators are very safe to say. It depends on the situation, how you're talking to the person. If it's in a situation, it's very common sense that the person who is sitting just in this direction and talks to you on the right side, it's not oftentimes not the case that this person is going to turn all the feet towards you. It depends on how you're talking to him. When it comes down to standing, when you stand in front of the people or in front of the one person you're talking to and the person's feet show in a complete different direction, it might be an indicator this person has a meeting, has anything else. The reasons might be endless, but one thing for sure, this person is showing discomfort and want to literally flee out of this situation, with showing that those feet are showing in a complete different direction. So when it comes down to those kind of a situation, just ask again, what is the problem? Not in a very rude way, but just ask them, is there something that you need to attend to? Do you have an appointment or something like that? We can skip the conversation and I can text you or call you later if you're finished with the thing you need to go to. So those kind of situation makes you very sensible in different social situation, and you can actually sense if there are problems. You can actually adjust to them, ask about them, really solve many social problems that might be on the first sight very little and not very special, but all in all it can help out in so many different ways, and people are really appreciating that you are really considering things and you really ask about the people and really give your best to understand. Other ways of showing discomfort about many situations you are in and you want to flee out of the situation is, for example, eye contact. Have you ever seen a child that actually stole a cookie and actually felt so guilty, came up to the parents and was about to tell them? Have you ever seen them making eye contact? For my part, I never saw that, especially when I was a kid. When I talked to my parents when I made something bad, I never saw them in their eyes. And that's something that many parents demands from their children when they're about to say something, just to make sure if this child is comfortable in holding eye contact. Because holding eye contact shows commitment, shows engagement in this right moment, shows that what you are talking about, you really stand by it and you really mean it. So not holding eye contact or interrupting eye contact or looking away or rubbing eyes out is a very good sign that this person is really uncomfortable with the situation. One thing what I personally ever do when I face very stressful situation where I don't want to be in there is this kind of behavior. I do it every time when I'm in very stressful situation, because I rub my eyes every time when it comes down to very stressful situations, because I don't want to see this situation, and for somehow my body reacts in every time in this way. And this is like rubbing my eyes out, and that's something I do every time. I can't actually control it, and I really recognized it after reading it by Joe Navarro's book that you can find in my description box. So eye contact is very important and very well known, but you really need to look out for those kind of tells and interpret them as a sign of discomfort. And if you found those signs and those tells and understood that this person is very uncomfortable with the situation they are in with you, then just ask about it. Just ask about the possibilities or the reasons why they are so uncomfortable, and just adjust to them socially, so everybody can appreciate that you were really good at looking at those tells and react to them and actually adjust to the social norm. So now we're gonna continue to the last option, and this is fighting. We're gonna keep it short because there's nothing much to say. Because aggressions are very fortunately something that many people can easily see and understand. Like very easy things are making a fist up in the air, or shouting or screaming, or even throwing punches. Those are absolutely a clear indicator of a fighting reaction, and that's something you often choose to do and not really just do it. Nowadays you can't just punch people as you like. You really have arguments with people nowadays, and this is oftentimes the equivalent of really big outlashing fights, which still happen, but oftentimes people tend, if they're fighting, sticking to arguments. So in those kind of situations you can hear, because those disputes are oftentimes verbally, to increase their whole voice, to shout, to scream, and so on. So there are many things they do with their vocal voice, but there are also many body language signs. One of the most common known is, of course, the eyebrows. If you just look angry, it's quite easy to tell that you're angry or you are ready to fight, be it in a dispute verbally or even physically. One other very common tell that many people know about is when other people are preaching personal space and where they come very close to each other. This is a sign of showing I'm comfortable in making you uncomfortable. This shows a hierarchy, that the opponent has the upper hand, and shows, of course, aggression, even in a political sense, because you can see that war are breaking out once another country is invading another one. So really preaching personal space is a very good indicator of really showing aggression. But it depends on the situation. If you are in a subway in New York City, of course people are so bunched together. But if you're in a park or somewhere else, in a hallway or somewhere else, or in a mall where so many people are walking by and you have so much space usually, then it's quite normal that your personal space is just getting bigger. And once a person is breaching this kind of personal space, you feel threatened by them. And also, oftentimes, if they do it consciously, it's a sign of making you uncomfortable while I'm comfortable. I have the upper hand. So this is a very good indicator of aggression. So that's all it. Those tells are very easy, are very basic, but you can understand very quickly who is the aggressor and who is not, and who wants actually flee and escape this situation and who does not. So those kind of very basic tells helps you understand your human beings around you much better, the people around you much better, and the people around you even appreciate if you can understand them even better and adjust to those social situations. And the best solution to narrow down the reasons of discomfort is just asking, keeping the conversation going, just in order to find out what the particular reason is. So if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe, and support this kind of channel from me with a comment. Tell me what you think about this and everything else. I'm really intrigued and interested about reading it.